going to go ahead to the sock portion. Now, right now, what I need to do is remove the cylinder that I have on the machine. This is the 60, and I would like to use my 64. So there are 2 screws under the machine that hold the cylinder in place. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn those screws and remove them. And most of the time when you see sock videos, you just see people making socks. And a lot of the videos that are on the socks right now, they're some older videos, 8, 9 years. So I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I do know how to use my machine now. And I think some new videos are in order. So my sock machine expert friends out there, make some videos. They don't really make videos. They're not, you know, those kind of people, but I make videos, so I figure I'll talk about it. All right, now, first thing I want to do is remove all of the needles from this. And my needle tool is AWOL. Let me see, but I do have, oh, the usual thing. I have knitting needles all over the place. So I'll just take a knitting needle. And what I would normally do is take this part. Actually, I don't know if the knitting needle is going to fit. Nope, that one does not fit. It's always these little things, right? Okay, here we go. Found it. I dropped the one on the floor. Oh, man. It's probably almost been about a month now. And I have not seen it since. I can't even begin to fathom where this thing is gone. As I'm painting the room, I'll find it. So, I'm just going to start lifting needles out. Now, these are the big hook needles. And I'm not going to use these in this operation. So, I am going to go ahead and put them away. I have a closed bag that they go into, but I'm just slipping them in here real quick. And they just kind of lift up, and the butt end comes out. And I totally forgot that if I take my screws out before I take out the needles, what happens is I can't turn the camshaft. So I'm just going to turn the cylinder just a tiny bit past the camshaft so that I can get the other needles out. Now, here we go. Just a little bit. So I just made that a little difficult. That's what happens when you're talking and you're trying to do something at the same time. Okay, so got them all out. Everything's good in the hood. And I think my ribber still has the needles in it from the big hook. So I'll deal with that when I deal with the ribber. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and lift this out. Okay. And this has the, oh, it does have it on there. Okay, so looking for my 64. Okay, got the bag for the big hook and for the ribbers. This looks like my 64. Go ahead and stick this guy in. Pay attention to where my holes are going to line up for. Okay, good. I want to line those because, I mean, I could turn it the other way, but what I'm looking for are the lines that are to guide me for my heel marks. So I want to make sure I turn that into that position for the heel marks. Then I know I'm sitting it the right way. Oops, forgot to put the shim on. I mentioned in my first video that the shim is because I'm using Gerhardt needles, not the auto knitter needles. And that's because when the auto knitter needles are used and the tension is high, they tend to ride up. So for people like me who like to have a little higher tension on their yarns, that's a way to keep that from happening. And the auto knitter needles kind of like to slip when you're first putting them on. There's a couple other places where they slip, and it's not a big thing. It's just a thing they do. It's just annoying. And so putting the shim there for the Gerhardt needles means they're raised at the level of where the auto needles would be, because the Gerhardt needles are a teeny bit shorter than the auto knitter needles. So they have to be raised to the proper height. With that shim, and I mean that shim is just tiny, but it raises just that tiny bit. Okay, so I'm down here now. I'm putting the screws back in. Gotta make sure this thing is seated. Doesn't feel to me like it's seated properly. Turn it a bit. Oh, it's cut on the screw at the moment. All this is really important, because if this thing is not seated properly and you go to start cranking, it won't crank. Is that right? Oh, yeah, okay, good. So this is like really important. Okay, so we're good. And I put one screw in. I don't tighten it all the way. I found the other day that if I tighten it too much, it doesn't crank either. So it's like, it's got a delicate balance. Okay, there you go. And the other one, and this is, you know what, I never say that this is more than you need to know. I'm the same way about the spinning wheels. If I can use it, I know how to use things. I don't have things that I use halfway. So I should be able to take this thing apart, clean it. And I need to understand what the gears and screws and hooks and everything does, so that I can maintain it properly. You know, I mean, I do that with my wheels, with my computer. I can take that computer and open it up. You know, I can mess around with, you know, Windows prompts to the extent that you can do that kind of thing. Well, I think I might have been too tight. So I can do the basic stuff on my car, but I like to be able to use things. Ooh, that's tight. And if you have these items, you're changing cylinders, you should be able to do this. Okay, that's nice and smooth. Okay, now what I need to do is put the needles in. So let's see. Got a little bag somewhere, and my bag says Gerhardt needles. Here are Gerhardt river needles. Here are Gerhardt needles. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to put these bad boys back in. There should be another bag somewhere, because I should have 100 needles. Let's see. Start popping these guys in. Okay, so same thing happens with the needles going in, except my cylinder is completely closed or completely screwed on, so I can turn it and just drop these guys down in the shaft. And I'm going to start off with the ribbing So I'm only going to put half the needles in. If you saw the previous, ooh, I cannot count, can I? If you saw the previous sock video, I hung the hem and I didn't do any ribbing in the leg. I am not like a super big fan of the way ribbing looks, but I understand that it makes for a better fitting sock. That I definitely do understand. So I'm making socks for other people. If they like, oh, why did I do that? I'm making socks for other people. If they like, I will rib them. Okay, I just need to turn this. And it moves around and opens up that gap. And what's happening here is the cam is here. And I'm putting them in advance of the cam, because once the cams, you can see it right here, slides, I cannot get a needle down into that space. So I am turning it in advance of the cam. Okay, I apologize. Well, you know, I really don't need to apologize, but I'm going to do it anyway. I apologize for those of you who are not like into sock knitting machines. I do have other videos, so you can move to those. But if you do have a sock knitting machine or you find this interesting, like I said, there are other videos on sock knitting machines, but they skip steps. So, you know, they get right to the knitting, or they get right to this step. And you're like, well, how did that get that way? So I really want to give a comprehensive, updated video on how this stuff is done. And if I wasn't talking, this would go a lot faster. But I also don't want you to have to guess at anything. And I've never been really good at like putting that music in the video in the blank space. It seems like I can't get a handle on the volume. So I know if I start trying to mess around with music in between these spaces as I work, it's just not going to go well. So I'm just going to skip the music and I'm going to drone on like a psycho. Okay, now I'm coming to the end soon. And I'm going to do the same thing with the ribber, basically. The ribber, the tappet plate is going to turn. As it turns, I'm going to take out the auto knitter big hook needles. And I'm going to insert the Gerhardt ribber needles. And I want my pattern, oh, you know, I should have thought about that. I'm setting up now for a one-to-one ribbing pattern. Between the time that between now and the next time you watch this video tomorrow, I might have changed my mind and I might set up for a 3-to-1, which means that I get 3 stitches across here to every 1 stitch on the ribber needle. So if I set that up, I will let you know. What that would mean is that the needles would go 1, 2, 3 blank space, 1, 2, 3 blank space, 1, 2, 3 blank space instead of every other space. So if I change my mind and set that up, then when I put the ribber on top of the cylinder here, then I'll re-explain that. Okay, but for the meantime, the cylinder is set up and I need to change the ribber dial because this is for the 60. So what I would do is change it for the 64, and I would simply put a needle in every other slot and then match up these slots with no needle on the cylinder with the slot that has a needle in the ribber and line them up, and I'd be ready to start. Okay, so that's enough. It's about 20 minutes worth of video. And tomorrow I will put the ribber on and I will officially start the Christmas yarn sock. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.